filmmaking, about script writing, about to pitch your script, how to write your script, technical questions about web series, movies, a lot of different things. So who better than Mr. NIRAN Bhatt to actually have a masterclass on that. He's been a writer, he's been writing movies, he's been writing web series, he's been writing regional films, he's been writing plays. You must have heard movies like Stree. How many of you have seen Stree? How many of you have seen Stree 2? Bhedia? Munjia? Web series Asur? Now, one basic. How many of you have seen Tarak Mehta Ka Ulta Chashma? Most. Everything is written by this man here. And today, we'll be imparting that knowledge with you all. So ask a lot of questions. How many questions you have? He's here and he's ready to answer all of them for you all. So enjoy.
Thank you, Mr. Jitwar. Gentlemen and ladies, and our Goan filmmakers, you have a little more than an hour for a lot of learning from Mr. Bhatt. I now give the floor to Mr. Bhatt. All the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Jeet. And thank you so much, everyone, for coming here. See, I would like to keep this session really, informal, because I know you all have a lot of questions. Well, I was briefed about yesterday's session and how, a lot of questions were asked, and a lot of curiosities were there. So I would just, briefly like to talk about first my journey, and then we'll just, keep it open. Whoever has any doubts, any questions regarding screenplay writing, how to write blockbuster films, I don't know whether I would be able to answer it or not, but I'll try my best. And see, I am against this word, masterclass, because I don't consider myself to be a master or anything. To be really humble, I would just tell you that. But masterclass is, let's just remove master from it. It's a class where you have a guy who has some exposure and he'll just share his experiences with you. Okay, so I just want to tell you that I'm not a master in anything, and the best way to go about it is to be a disciple. Okay, that would be the moral of the story of this entire session. Okay, so first quickly, let me just take you through my journey. So I wrote my first play when I was in standard 3. And after that, all my life I have been a playwright. I still write plays. And I did engineering, then I did post-graduation in engineering. I was a ME, Masters in Engineering. Post that I did MBA, but all throughout, I was writing plays, I was writing songs. I had friends who were music composers, so I was collaborating with them, and I was sort of creating songs alongside. And once I finished my studies, I sort of thought, okay, what would I do? And I joined, I was in a big business school and I got placed in a big company and I was a business consultant. But I think in about 6 months, I realized that, the life of cubicles, the life of corporates, and the whole, jing-bang of 9 to 5 is not meant for me. Okay. See, I always had a problem with the depiction of those guys. Okay. Because a lot of you are interested in arts or are already artists. And we tend to think that, people sitting in cubicles are some sort of fools. Okay. Like it's always portrayed in a very, one-note manner in Imtiaz Ali's films. Okay. The girl who is about to get married to a guy, he's always that kind of a guy who works in corporates and he's like a boring guy. But I've also seen some of the most brilliant and creative people there, but it's their calling, okay? And I realize it's not my calling. So I need to become a writer. I decided, and I just had that one goal in my mind that at the end of the day, I want to leave my career, make enough money out of this, and after that, so that I can survive. And I want to write for the rest of my life. Uh, that was not easy actually, because those days were really dark, and TV's channels were closing down, films were not getting made. Post recession days, 2008 to 12, 13 kind of an era, when I wrote a lot of things. I wrote, TV shows which didn't get made. I was, there was a joke about me that मुझे प्लेन उड़ाने का लाइसेंस मिलेगा, मैंने इतने पायलट्स लिखे थे. So everyone used to tell me कि तुझे तो मिल ही जाएगा, इतने पायलट्स तूने लिखे. But yeah, एक का पायलट लिखा, चैनल बंद हो गया. दूसरे का पायलट लिखा, टीवी शो बंद हो गया. तीसरे का लिखा, मुझे नहीं, I'm going on a break, so please allow me to. And then, that was the last day. उसके बाद the next time I talked to them was when they congratulated me on my national award. So I called them, and the show जिसके दम पे मैंने I left my job, it ended in 2 months. And I was in a soup. What do I do now? Do I go back to my corporate life, or do I continue being a writer? So I started writing absolute shit. I started writing whatever came my way. I started writing crime shows. I started writing टीवी की दुनिया में बोला जाता है कि जिसका कोई नहीं होता उसका सावधान इंडिया और क्राइम पेट्रोल होता है. So I started writing crime पेट्रोल, सावधान इंडिया. I even stooped down to, I hope you are not recording it. I will not take a name, a celebrity guest, inviting guests to her house, a completely trashy show, and the guests would come and they will play some joke, some games and stuff like that. And I used to write voiceover, that celebrity's voiceover for that particular show. Now, on one side, I am a business consultant, okay, doing deals with the biggest corporates of the world. The other side, I am writing something absolutely trash. I started questioning myself, was that the right decision to leave my career and, to pursue this, writing voiceover for, this trashy show. Apparently it turned out well, because I was writing it with my friend. My friend's name is Sumit Arora. Sumit last year wrote dialogues for Jawan, and this year I wrote Stree 2, which is sort of big blockbuster again. So it turned out well for both of us. But those were really scary days, really dark days. I even stooped down to such a low level that I wrote a marriage function. I actually wrote a marriage function, and that's when I was contemplating. I was in existential crisis, right? मेरा जन्म क्यों हुआ है, and what am I doing on this earth, and what is my purpose, and what is the purpose of this existence, and are we mere accidents, and was Camus right, was Nietzsche right, was Samuel Beckett right, who was right? This is all not making sense to me, but somehow I kept at it. And then slowly things started getting in place. Then I wrote a Gujarati film called Bayar. It was a very big hit, and it became like a cult film. It ran for some 56 weeks. I also wrote songs for that. So that sort of opened up a new career for me. And I became a lyricist there. Since then, I've written music albums for around 38 to 39 films. Now I think 3 more are coming. So I've written most of the blockbuster songs there. Then I started writing Gujarati films. At that time, my first Hindi film also released. So Hindi things also started. So then I wrote Gujarati films, some of the biggest hits, songs. Then my Hindi films started coming in. So first film came, didn't do well. Second film came, a lot of critical appraise, acclaim and all those things, but didn't do well. Then the third film came, which was first film was called All Is Well, which had Abhishek Bachchan and Rishi Kapoor. Great time working with them. Film didn't work out. Then second film in Hindi was Made in China with Rajkumar Rao and Vaman sir. And yeah, even that didn't work out. And yeah, then came Bala, which was sort of a big hit, and that gave me a lot of reassurance. Bala, not the song, I mean the film with Ayushmann Khurrana, where he suffers from hair loss. Yeah, then a lot of other things came. Asur came. Inside Edge season 2, I wrote 2 films based on Satyajit Ray's stories for a Netflix anthology called Ray. Then Munja came. Then Stree 2 came, and yeah, I mean. Uh, since I cannot say that I'm a master at anything, but I can, fairly confidently tell you that, this year's box office has been very good for me. I mean, it's world over, it's around 1,000 crores. Yeah, so that has been the journey. I mean, so far, a lot of films, so in between, I wrote like more than 1,000 episodes of Tarak Mehta Ka Ulta Chashma, won all the possible awards in television, got a lot of acclaim, got invited by Prime Minister, Chief Minister, everywhere, you go, you are the, person in the limelight. So yeah, I mean, television, regional films, lyrics, screenplay writing, and finally, Hindi film industry, as they say, Bollywood films, and from highly unsuccessful films, from being just a pilot writer and being joked around to the highest grossing films in Hindi. So it has been a long journey. It's not an overnight thing. But yeah, I mean, that is the brief summary of the journey that I have had. But now I would like to just throw it open out there. Whoever wants to ask any question about how things happen there, how things roll, how things get successful, how things are made, screenplay writing, intricacies of screenplay writing, drafts and writes and rewrites, and the role of the writer. Whatever you want to ask about, I leave it open to you. Let's start. Yeah. So please don't think that you'll come across as very amateur. Any question you have, you can just shoot it. Yeah.
Very good evening, sir. Welcome to all. So before starting something about actual writing thing, I would just like to know, you said in the beginning that you decided that you have to be a writer and you have to survive also. And yesterday we had a speaker who told us that writers are the people who are paid the least in the industry. Also, we nowadays see that most of the writers, they are themselves turning into director. So just for understanding, what exactly is the situations with the writers right now for the newcomer? If somebody wants to come or give it his 100% as a writer, what is a path for him? How he should start his journey in today's time when we have a lot of competition and a lot of talented people are all around with trying their hands on different mediums. So if you can just brief us about it.
Yeah, so see, in a nutshell, if I tell you, because I've seen this whole ecosystem of writing since 2008-9, okay, and this is currently the best time for writers, okay, and See, सबसे अच्छी बात क्या है बताएं? No star kids want to write, right? Because they can't. Hard work है ना. Okay, so you have least competition in terms of nepotism and stuff like that. Okay, and everyone listens to writers because they know कि ये एक ही बंदा है जिसने 2-3 महीने तक या 4 महीने तक या 2 साल तक या 1 साल तक मेहनत की. Okay, he has sitten in a room. He sat down in a room and he wrote. Actually, he wrote 120 pages or 150 pages. Okay, so he comes with good hard work. That's what. See, why do people recruit from IIMs and IITs? Because they know that at least there is a certain benchmark, right? They passed CAT or they passed JEE or some other competitive exam. So at least they are competent enough. He knows something. Okay, so writing mein wahi hai, once you go with a script, people trust you because they know that there is some hard work there. Rather than some guy with broad chest and six packs claiming that I want to be a superstar or I want to be an actor. Okay, uska worth बहुत कम है, unless he is of course someone's son or like. But writing में वो problem नहीं है. So I mean that's why after opening up of OTTs, see what happens in OTT shows is you have writers' rooms. Okay, and in a writer room, in a writer's room, typically the composition is such that there are all sorts of writers are required. So if I have a show which I am making, see, on the underworld of Goa, okay, so I have a guy, so I myself am there. I am like the head writer. I have the story in mind. I have the structure in mind. Then the other guy I would have the idea of structuring it. Okay, so he'll be my screenplay guy. Okay, but then I would need a guy who can write dialogues and who knows Goa. Okay, so I would take you for an example. If you are a local Goan guy now in Bombay or whatever, so I'll take you and I will use your expertise. Okay, so you get an easy entry by not having all 360 degrees of skills, but just one skill as a writer. Say a local knowledge, or say you are very good in dialogues, or say you are very good in research, or say my show is based in some place, you are good at that, or my show is based in a certain industry. Say it's like Inside Edge, okay, and you are a cricketer, or you used to play cricket, but you know the game, and now you are a writer. So you get entry in the writer's room. By not having all the skills of writing screenplay and story and dialogues and everything, but by one skill, you get inside it. Then you learn from other writers. Then once you have a show out, you get other shows. Then you can you feel motivated to write a film. Then you have access to that production house, to other production houses, other writers, and by those means you manage to get by. Okay, then it's up to your writing. If it is good enough, you can make a lot of money. Okay, but I mean nowadays things are very easy. Okay, for writers to break in and to make a successful career out of it. Now, what Sharik was saying, because he is a studio executive, is fairly wrong. Okay, because if he is saying that writers are the least paid people, okay, that is compared to stars. Okay, but stars ka problem kya hai? You see them only in the night, right? During the day they disappear. And so writers who are successful, you consider all other departments and compare a successful writer's income with them. I think writers are making more money than most of them. Okay, and yeah, I mean that's about it. I hope it answers your question. Let's move to the other question. Yeah.
Sir, from the inception of idea and inspiration for the story, would you just go on your guts and what do you call whatever runs in your mind, or else would you just have
the question?
yeah, from the inception of idea and inspiration for the story, would you just write up what's coming into your mind by your gut, or else would you have the limits of all these act 1, act 2 and limit yourself, or how does it work for you?
See, first, let me clear the air. I don't write from my gut, I write it from my hands, okay? So, to answer your question, yeah, it's always the gut, okay? Think of it, see, understand one thing. Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, Sid Fields, Robert McKee's of the world, all those books out there, Save the Cat, Save the Dog, Save the Dinosaur, whatever. Okay, all these books, if you want to become a writer, you buy them and you gift it to your worst enemy. Okay, someone that you don't want to succeed. कि यार इसको तो writer नहीं बनने दूंगा, मैं बनूं या ना बनूं. Okay, because they are of no use. Okay, think of it as an art form, no? When a painter is going to make a painting, he's not thinking of act 1, act 2, act 3. Okay, it's his insight that is coming out. Okay, his worldview, his philosophy towards life. Okay, he's trying to create something. Okay, it's जो हिंदी में जिसे अभिव्यक्ति बोला जाता है, it is his expression. So let it be your true expression. Okay, don't bind yourself with any formats or anything else. It will all come later on. Okay, but first you need to put your honest expression out there. Okay, be as honest as possible, and then it will fall in place. Okay, but first you must follow your gut. Okay, write it from the gut, not from the head.
So, one more question. How would you handle the creative blockage if it all happens?
Creative blockage is, the occurrence is directly, related with the amount of money you are getting paid. Okay. So if you're getting paid really fat checks, okay, you can't afford to have creative blocks. Okay, creative blockages, see, I always tell that unless you have a mental health condition, it's always a lie. Creative block is a lie. Okay, because there are books. There is a book called War on Art. Okay, by Pressfield. So if you read that book, you will realize that procrastination is the biggest enemy of a writer. Okay, whenever you sit down to write, there is a force. There is an invisible force stopping you from writing. Okay, and the real battle is between that force and you. Okay, if you manage to put it out there on the paper, on your laptop or wherever, okay, you win, and that force loses. Okay, that's the only obstacle out there. If you manage to do it once, you will be able to do it twice. It will be shitty in the first place, okay, but then you have the confidence that I can at least do it. Okay, and वहीं पे आप जीत गए ना, because वहाँ पे nepotism तो work नहीं कर रहा है, क्योंकि जिनको hard work नहीं करना है वो नहीं कर पाएंगे. They won't be able to sit down and write it down writing 120 pages by own self is a very big task. So if you manage to do that by gut or by hand or by feet or whichever way possible, okay, that's your victory. And that's how you begin. Okay, then you don't have to think about anything else. But you just put it out there. Okay, and once you put it out there, you have beaten your biggest enemy, which is procrastination. Okay, that's the difference between pros and amateurs. Okay, amateurs cannot show up every day and cannot write. Okay, because there is a fear of failure. They always think that whatever I write will be shitty. It will always be shitty. But if writing 100 pages gives you 2 good pages, you keep at it, no? Eventually you will get a good script. So yeah, don't think about creative blocks and all. These are all myths. Okay, most of the times for amateurs, the myth is created by fear of failure, and for pros, professionals like me, the myths are created to get more time. Okay, so if the deadline is approaching, I will say, oh, I'm in creative block. I need 15 days. So I mean that's about it. So unless it's a mental health issue, it's always a myth. It's a lie. You can easily break it.
Thank you.
Good evening, sir. I know we have many fans of Tarak Mehta here. Thanks for writing it for us. We have
Thank you.
entertained a lot. So, I forgot my question. Yeah, so I was actually having that in mind with regards to tight pipelines like Tarak Mehta, when you have to generate multiple scripts. So I was coming at writer's block, but yeah, but almost have the answer. But how do you go over the overlapping ideas? Usually you might have, since you do 1,000 episodes, that's what you've done so far. So how do you churn new ideas? Is there any mantra?
See, the mantra is that you need to be sure of your input, okay? Because what you process in your mind, okay? In terms of artificial intelligence, I'll explain it to you. In artificial intelligence, what happens is there are 3 layers. Okay, first layer is input layer, second layer is the middle layer, which is called the hidden layer, where the intelligence is developed. And third is your output layer, whatever output comes. Okay, so you need to be extra careful of what you put inside, okay, your input. And more inputs you have, okay, better you will be at processing your ideas. Okay, now most of those ideas will be churned into and mixed with your own experiences. Okay, the people that you have seen in your life experiences, the things that you have experienced, your lost love or something funny that happened to you, your friends, your parents, your emotions. So those things will get mixed with the input you have, and finally you will have some out. So you need to make sure in order to create work which is substantial and continuously you are churning it out. Okay, that's the most important thing is reading. Okay, and it has to be reading only. It cannot be watching Netflix. Okay, it cannot be watching shows which are similar. Okay, that's also a part of it, but predominantly it has to be reading, because reading will what you are watching on screen is already there. It's not triggering your triggering your visualization. Your visualization is always triggered by reading. When you are reading, you are creating that picture in your mind. Okay, and more pictures you create, better you will be able to write and create pictures in other people's minds. Okay, and once those pictures are created in the minds of your crew, okay, director and cinematographer and art director and everyone, okay, then they'll be able to make a good film. So always remember that input is most important in order to get a better output.
Just, one more thing, is there ever a clog with so much of writing? How do you declog?
See, there is, clogging, blocking, I don't like those words.
No,
Okay.
too much of writing and so many things. You will keep churning, no doubt, but you have never come to a situation.
No, it happens. Okay, but there are exercises that you learn. I have learned it very hard way. I had all sorts of health problems. I've had pain in my joints, finger joints. I've had pain in my shoulders. I've had pain in my back. Okay, and then you slowly learn how to avoid getting into those traps. Okay, that you should take micro breaks while you are writing. Okay, always stand up. There is a very famous technique called Pomodoro technique. Okay, it's an app also available. You can download it for free. So for 25 minutes you write, and then that alarm goes off. Then you sort of take a break for 5 minutes compulsorily, and then you again begin writing. So then there are lot of other things that you can do, but you learn it the hard way. Okay, and also you need to understand what rejuvenates you. Okay, कि अगर ऐसा लग रहा है कि बैटरी डाउन है तो बैटरी चार्ज करने के भी अलग अलग तरीके, okay, and then there are worst forms of chargers, like people misunderstand that if I smoke or if I drink alcohol, my creative juices will start flowing. It's exactly the opposite thing, okay. Those are typically the things that you should strictly avoid when you are rigorously trying to create something. So yeah, I mean, all those things you learn as you go along with the process.
Thank you, thank you.
Hello, sir. Nihal here. Sir, I actually have two questions. The first question is, how do you start a concept? Keeping in consideration what was the process for made in China? Was the rubbery part the thought came first, or was it like initially put in?
Yeah. So first, I mean, generic. I'll tell you the generic answer first. That how do you start? I mean, you start with anything. Okay, you can start with an image. You can start with with a scene that you have in mind. You can start with a character. Okay, that there is this guy who is a chemistry teacher and he is dying. And one fine day he meets his student and he starts cooking math. Okay, so you can start with a character, or you can start with a visual that you have, that I see this kind of a visual. I started writing Bhedia based on a visual. Okay, that I had a visual that there's this guy, okay, who is hanging from a tree, and from his bum there's a wolf which is hanging. Okay, and the wolf bites him, and that guy starts converting into a wolf. Okay, now this kind of strange things come to you. Okay, that Himesh Reshamia song is playing Tera Surur and the wolf is answering. Okay, such crazy things you think about, and then you start thinking about making it into a story which is about outsiders versus natives, and which is about saving forests, and which is about ecology and things like that. Then you start putting in layers, but you can start with anything. Okay, the trigger of the story can be anything. The trigger of the screenplay can be anything. In Made in China, the first idea was aphrodisiac. Okay, that we wanted to make a film on aphrodisiac, and my friends Karan and Mikil, they sort of came up with this story. And then what will be the eventual aphrodisiac? Okay, which is supposed to be a placebo. So that's how the Rabdi idea came. Okay, so that sort of came in first. All the rest of the things were woven around it. Okay, so that's what I mean to say, that there's something that comes to you, and then you like sort of jump into it, and then you try to make a film out of it. Sometimes you succeed, sometimes you fail. Okay, you need to understand when you fail कि यार ये बहुत ज़्यादा ही ये हो गया, so now it's time for me to put it aside. Okay, that awareness you should also have. But yeah, most of the times, you go ahead with your, as he said, gut.
The second question, once you write the script and the screenplay, how do you deal with the director? Like when the director starts directing and the script or the screenplay is changed, how do you deal with it?
See, I have been fortunate enough that I've worked with some very good directors. I worked with Amar Kaushik, which is who's a very good director. So he has directed Stree 2, Bala, Bhedia, all my films. So what I do is that because he's going to execute it, right? So my job is to make him see the same film that I'm seeing. That's my job. Once he sees it the way I see it, I mean 90% of your job is done. Okay. Now when he executes it, he will try to make it even better. कि मेरे दिमाग में जो है उससे भी अच्छा क्या हो सकता है. Okay, so that's what he will try to do. So I've been very fortunate to work with some really good directors like Amar, like Vasan Bala, like Abhishek Chaubey, a lot of them, and they are very good. But yeah, I mean, you need to constantly be in touch with them. You need to constantly read your stuff out, or talk about your stuff, whatever you have written. Okay, and you need to convey it to them what you are trying to do. Okay, that's how you deal with the director. I also, stay on sets while the shooting is on. It's not always required, but I make it a point that I'm always there sitting next to the director. So, because see, what happens is that on a film set, there are 200 people. Okay, and nobody gives a shit about how the film is getting made. Okay. Art wala art ka dekh raha hai, lightman is looking how the light is, and cameraman is concerned about that. Production guy is saying, oh, we have this location for today, tomorrow it will not be there. Costume people are running around, iska ek sleeve ऊपर कर दो, एक sleeve नीचे कर दो, ये थोड़ा ज़्यादा और ये थोड़ा shining ऐसा लग रहा है, ये everyone is talking about those things. And the scene is more important than everything else. Correct? What you're going to shoot ultimately. So only two guys are concerned with that, and everyone is putting all their concerns on the director. So if there is another guy who knows if the scene which is being played out or being shot is according to what it should be or not, so it doesn't harm the film. Okay, so I think writers have to be on sets and they have to see what's going on, and if there is something wrong going on, because uh, I've seen my scenes, my films getting butchered, getting totally wrongly interpreted, and unbearable. There are certain films that I've written I haven't seen. I saw two scenes of one film that I wrote in the edit. After that, in my mind, I disowned the film. On IMDb, I cannot, but it's still showing in my name. But yeah, you understand that that person is completely, misinterpreted. You wrote the scene in a sarcastic manner, and they executed it in a very serious manner. So it doesn't make sense. Okay, and it doesn't tie in with your screenplay or the overall tone of the film. So yeah, it helps if the writers are there on sets. And if, it's not a compulsion, but if you're adequately paid, then you can obviously. Yes, anyone else?
When you start writing a story, you start with the film and then finally come to an end, or you think about end first and slowly develop the story up to the end. This can be in both the situation where you are already given an idea by somebody, or if it's your own idea, how it usually develops.
See, I will tell you my process. Okay. Now, let me make it really clear that whoever has whatever process is right. Okay. No process is wrong. Okay. So some people just start writing and they discover it, along with the more they write, more they discover the characters, more they discover about the world, and that's how they discover the story. Okay, now in my case, I make it a point that I know the story beforehand. Okay, I know story means how it is starting, what will happen, and how it will end. Okay, then I'll try to make a rough beat sheet where in 2 pages, it's a rule that in 2 pages I should be able to see the entire film, how it is flowing. Then I start writing screenplay. Okay, and once I start writing screenplay, I write dialogue alongside it. Okay, so I try to write more dialogues for each characters than required, because by that writing more dialogues will tell me a lot about the characters. Then I can remove the dialogues, but I know what that guy thinks. I know where he comes from. I know what he wants. I know his dialect. I know his hidden secrets, the skeletons in his cupboard. Whatever it is about that guy, I know by writing dialogues. So that's my process. That once I make the beat sheet, I start writing dialogues. In the scenes that I've written in beats, and then I end up with a first, sort of dirty draft people call it vomit draft. I don't like the word vomit, but in a way it is a vomit draft where you vomit all your thoughts on the paper. They might not look good, might not be decent, but at least you have something to work with. Then you, like they say, all writing is rewriting. Then you rewrite it, rewrite it. You bounce it off to other people. You show it to the director. You show it to the producer. You show it to other people, other writers that you trust. You keep on, working on it. You finish it, and then finally you have like, after 2 3 drafts, you have a draft which is like presentable, okay, which you can say it's a film. So I mean that's generally my process.
सर मैं पूछना चाहूँगा 2 2.5 घंटे की फिल्म जो रहती है उसके अंदर ये स्ट्रक्चर एक हमने सीखा उसको तो चली, लेकिन 22 मिनट की जब सीरियल रहती है तो उसके अंदर भी यही अप्लाई करना पड़ता है या कैसे कुछ?
देखिए हर चीज का ना अलग अलग फॉर्मेट है। टीवी शो का अलग है, ओटीटी शोज का अलग है, और फिल्मों का अलग है। अब फिल्मों में जो 3x स्ट्रक्चर की आप बात कर रहे हैं, ओके, वो 3x स्ट्रक्चर जो है वो किस चीज का है? वो स्टोरी का है, ओके। तो कहानी तो हर उसमें है ही, ओके। नाउ अब आप जब टीवी शो की बात करते हैं तो टीवी शो में 20 या 22 मिनट का एपिसोड है, उसमें एक कहानी पूरी नहीं होती, ओके। तो हम लोग जो करते थे वो ये था कि हमारी एक कहानी है, वो मान लीजिए 10 एपिसोड की, 10 एपिसोड की कहानी का हम पूरा एक ब्रेक डाउन कर लेते हैं कि ये कहानी यहाँ से शुरू होगी और यहाँ पे खत्म होगी, बीच में ये होगा। अब हम सोचते हैं कि इसमें 10 ऐसे कौन से हाई पॉइंट्स मिल जाए जहां पे हम लोग एपिसोड एंड करें, ठीक है। अब वो इतने बड़े नहीं मिलेंगे क्योंकि एक ही कहानी है, ठीक है, क्योंकि एक कहानी में ज्यादा 2 से 3 इतने हाई पॉइंट होते हैं, ठीक है। तो आप वो ढूंढ के उसके अराउंड एपिसोड बना के उनको आपके फ्रीज पॉइंट जो बोलते हैं, क्लिफ हैंगर्स, वो एपिसोड के बनाइए। वो आपका एपिसोड खत्म हुआ, लोगों को लगा कुछ इंटरेस्टिंग हो रहा है और कल भी कुछ इंटरेस्टिंग होने वाला है, एंड देन दे कम टू वॉच टुमारो। अब उसमें आप अगर जो बहुत ही गंदे टीवी शोज में होता है कि एक दरवाजा खुला, कुछ सस्पेंसफुल म्यूजिक आया और फ्रीज, नेक्स्ट डे यू स्टार्ट, तो उसकी मम्मी आती है अंदर और बेटा चाय ले। तो अगर आप ये ऑडियंस के साथ ये करेंगे, फ्रॉड करेंगे, तो वो 2 एपिसोड के बाद समझ जाएंगे कि ये तो मतलब फ्रॉड ही हो रहा है अपने साथ, तो इस शो को देखने का मतलब नहीं। बट इफ यू genuinely find something intriguing at that point and you keep it in your episode, then people will come to watch it next day. Now in OTT shows predominantly nowadays, I am not in favor of that, but predominantly they are designed for binge watching. HBO के और दूसरे कुछ शोज ऐसे हैं जो वीकली आते हैं, पर मोस्टली नेटफ्लिक्स, प्राइम, इन सब के जो शोज है उसकी मेन रिक्वायरमेंट है कि there is a word called bingeability. Okay, you start watching and you want people to watch all episodes in one go. Okay, and at each episode end, okay, there has to be a thing which is so compelling, okay, that it forces you to go into the next episode. Now in the beginning of the next episode, you have some cold open, which can be anything. Okay, एक scene आता है which can be towards the end of that episode. Says this is the second episode. तो second episode के end में कुछ बहुत ही dramatic होने वाला है, तो आप episode की शुरुआत उससे करते हैं। वो शुरू में आ गया, इसलिए आपका जो viewer था, जो first episode के end में सोच रहा था कि यार boring show है, छोड़ दूं या कुछ और देखूं, पर आपने जो episode end था उसमें उसको पकड़ लिया। आपने क्लिफ हैंगर इतना कमाल का डाल दिया कि उसने वो देख लिया और अपने आप वो स्क्रॉल होके सेकंड एपिसोड में भी चला गया। अब सेकंड एपिसोड में आपने कोल्ड ओपन में उसको पकड़ लिया, तो वो 10-15 मिनट और देखेगा। अब इसलिए वो एपिसोड्स ओटीटी में ऐसे डिजाइन किए जाते हैं कि मोमेंट पीपल स्टार्ट लूजिंग इंटरेस्ट, ओके, आप उसको कुछ ऐसा दिखाओ कि वो फिर से आ जाए। और ये जो कलाकारीगिरी आप जो कर रहे हैं ना, that is all, formulaic, but the thing which really works is the character building. कि आप अब कोई आदमी तारक मेहता क्यों देखता है? कोई सिटीजन केन लेवल की उसमें फिल्म मेकिंग है? नहीं है, ठीक है। कोई आदमी ब्रेकिंग बैड क्यों देखता है? कोई आदमी गेम ऑफ थ्रोन्स क्यों देखता है? कोई आदमी द वायर क्यों देखता है? कोई पेंगुइन क्यों देखता है? कैरेक्टर्स जो बनाए हैं वो इतने ब्रिलियंट है कि you don't want to leave them. Okay, now you have all other options. Okay, you have a Hindi film industry blockbuster also there on Netflix. You have a current Hollywood blockbuster also there. You have a highly acclaimed independent film which has won in Cannes or whatever. It is also there. Now there are all other options, but you would like to go back to that series because you have an attachment with that character. Now you want to know more about that character, what happens to him. Okay, and that's why you are glued to it. It's not the cliffhangers, it's the journey of the character. If the character is so important, that's why always in the long form, the key is the character. Okay, वो जितना इंटरेस्टिंग आप कैरेक्टर को बना सकते हो, लोग उतना आपका शो ज्यादा देखें और मतलब सालों तक देखते रहेंगे. People still revisit great shows that have been made, like say Sopranos. Okay, are they a great filmmaking? Should know the character building is so strong that you like to see his journey. Okay, so I mean, long form, it's always not about the plot, not about the dialogues, not about the craft of cliffhangers and cold opens and tent poles and things like that. It's always about the character. It's the most basic thing. Okay, but जितना आप complex, interesting और fascinating उस character को बना सकते हो, आपका show उतना ही successful.
Hello sir, my name is Milan Joshi and I am from Gujarat, Ahmedabad. So I had these 4 questions. एक का आंसर मुझे वो सफेद शर्ट वाले भाई ने दे दिया है और एक का ये ब्लैक टी शर्ट वाले भाई ने. So yeah, so now I have only two. Yeah. So third question is how should I any indie filmmaker should pitch an idea effectively, and how do we reach out and connect with producers and labels? My fourth question is very easy. Kamcho.
Majama. Okay. So first, let me give you a few tips. Okay, about pitching your idea. Now, see, there are no rules of pitching an idea. Okay, a thing which might excite a certain producer can, put someone off. कि मान लो आपने बहुत उसमें रिसर्च करके पूरा एक वाइब शीट बनाया कि इसमें लोकेशंस ऐसे होंगे, रेफरेंसेस के इसमें एक्टर्स ऐसे होंगे, इसमें ये ऐसा होगा. Okay, he might not be interested. Okay, he might just be interested in the story idea, or someone might be interested in that कि देखो तो सही इसने कितनी मेहनत की है. So there are no rules, but what you can do is you can be honest to yourself. Okay, that this is my story. Okay, now one thing you have to be very careful is in writing the synopsis of the film, because once you are a newcomer, that's the biggest problem that people face. Because if you come and tell me that I have a screenplay, now as a producer, or even as a senior writer, I'll ask you, what have you done before? Okay, you will tell me that मैंने इंस्टाग्राम के रील्स बनाए हैं, मैंने मेरी बहन की शादी का वीडियो बनाया है, मैंने ये बनाया, whatever you have done, or short films, or say theater plays, or whatever you have written or you have done, you will tell me those things, and I'll say वो सब फिल्मों में नहीं चलता. Now I want to know whether your idea is good or not. Okay, so what I'll do is, send me the synopsis, I'll come back. Now your synopsis, अब बात पूरी उस पे आ गई, it's make or break. Okay, now if that is good and that has some spark, I will call you and I'll say, now you narrate me your story and show me what you have. Okay, now at that time, whatever, जो भी अस्त्र शस्त्र तुम्हारे पास है, ओके वो सब तुम उधर जाके उसके सामने तुमको रख देंगे. It's an art to convince someone to put in a very big amount, okay, on a story idea. Now imagine me going and telling Dinesh Vijan that I have this story where a Himesh Reshammiya song plays and a wolf answers. Now you put in 100 crores on that. Okay. कोई भी दूसरा सेम बिजनेस होता ना तो उसमें जूते मार के मुझे निकाल देते. Correct? But you need to make sure that the other person gets interested in whichever way possible. Okay, you tell him more about the story, you tell him, you show him the references, you show him the beat sheet that you have created. If you have written the entire script, you give him the entire script. Okay, and if it is based in a certain place, you make a small model of that place. Okay, you use three AI tools, okay, Mid Journey or something else to make visual references for that film. Okay, whatever you can do, okay, you do for that pitch, and then you try to convince the other person to put in the money. Okay, that's how it works. But the storytelling part has to be as simple as possible. That has to be at the level of telling the story to a kid. जैसे दादी नानी की कहानियां होती है. Okay, दादी या नानी बच्चों को रात को सुना के सुलाती है. Okay, if the storytelling is not at that level, okay, it will not be able to work. Okay, if you try to sell layers and stuff like that to them, first pitch it will not work. Okay, so always try to make it as simple as possible, and eventually at the end of the day you need to understand the objective. कि objective क्या है? Objective is to sell, no? At the end of the day, you want the pitch to go through and you want the person to put in the money, right? So you need to sell yourself and you need to sell your story. That's the objective. तो उसमें तुम अंडर सेल कुछ नहीं कर सकते कि ये तो मैं बताऊंगा ही नहीं, मैं इतना स्मार्ट हूं ना कि मैं थोड़ा अंडर सेल करूंगा. ठीक है, ये तुम नहीं कर सकते. तुम्हें you need to show as much confidence as possible in your stuff. That's only that's only when someone puts in the money. Okay, it's the confidence. As long as the filmmaker is confident, okay, वो सामने वाला समझ जाता है कि इसको दिख रहा है क्या बनाएगा, and let's give him the money, he'll make a good film. Okay, so I mean that's about it. What was the other question?
Gamcho.
Gamcho is fine. Apart from pitching, you asked something else.
You also forgot, I think.
Yeah.
So,
Hello.
there are many amateur filmmakers from Goa. So, can you please tell us something more about importance of a nice screenplay? See, because it's not always A, B, C, D, E, F, G to X, Y, Z. Sometimes we start with W, again we come to A, B, C, D, and then we come to. So, can you give some nice examples and tell the importance of a different type of a screenplay, how a screenplay makes everything more interesting?
See. Hello. First you need to understand that screenplay is the most important document in the entire film. Okay. Like I gave you the example of a film set. There are 200 people. Hello. So there are 200 people working, and what are they working on? Okay. Director है, art director है, या जो प्रोडक्शन वाले हैं या एक्टर्स है, सबके पास एक ही ओरिजिनल डॉक्यूमेंट, which is your screenplay. So screenplay is supposed to tell them what is going on in the film. Okay, if there is a scene written, okay, everyone, all departments should be able to understand it clearly what is required for that particular scene. Okay, so it's a guideline for everyone else. How to shoot that scene, what is the location, what is the character doing, what kind of a place is required, what kind of art direction is required, what kind of edit is required, what kind of sound is required. Everything you have created in that one document. Now it can be followed, it cannot be followed. Okay, people will improvise, they'll create their own thing, they'll have their own interpretations. Director will have his own interpretation, actors will have their own interpretations. Accordingly, all other editors, sound director, everyone they will have their own interpretations of what you have written. Okay, but this is the most important document as long as the film is concerned. Okay, and that's why, I mean, all masters you see, first thing they'll tell you is that you start writing. Okay, now it's a very messy process. Like I told you, you start with a flash, you start with an idea, you start with a character or a scene that you have in mind, and then you create this document of 120, 150 pages. You don't know how good or bad it is. Okay, so more you work upon that, okay, more you chisel it out, okay, that you are the only judge, okay, who can decide what stays, what goes out. Okay, you take feedback from entire world, okay, but it has to be you who will decide what stays, what goes out. Okay, and then you write again and again and again, and out of those, iterations will come a good film, good screenplay. Okay, now it is there in your head. That screenplay is there in your head. Now it is also there on the paper. Your job is to write it in a way that everyone understands. Okay, now comes the difficult part. There are things, जैसे मैंने layers की बात की. There are themes. Okay, those things you won't be able to write in the script. Okay, it will come across as very stupid. If you start writing कि मेरी फिल्म का थीम ये है इसलिए ऐसा होना चाहिए, that you can't write. Okay, then you have to translate it to others. Okay, it's almost like giving a philosophy lecture or a psychology lecture to me. That you understand the theme of the whole thing that you are trying to do. Okay, so if you are trying to make a film which is just a horror comedy, it will not work out. You need to spell out what you are exactly trying to do. Okay, and that's where you sit with all of them, all HODs, you translate your vision to them, you tell them what it means, whatever you have written, okay, what is there in your mind, okay, and you translate, tell it to everyone as long a discussion as possible, as elaborate as possible, and then let them do their own thing. Okay, but you should always remember that it's a very messy process. It always goes through iterations and iterations and iterations. There are versions and versions and versions created by different people at different times. Okay, most of the films are getting made on edit tables. Okay, so editor will have his own flow. Okay, director has his own flow in his mind. Okay, actors are doing something else. So all those things will come in finally when the film is made. But you need to make sure that it is as close to the thing that you imagine. Okay, it's up to you. It's your job. Okay, nobody will come and tell you to do your job because it's your baby. And when you see it be getting butchered and when you can't see the film that is made, you learn that no, it's my job and I need to make sure कि मेरा बच्चा ठीक ठाक रहे और उसको कोई नुकसान ना हो.
So sometimes what happens, I just need to know the correlation with the box office report, whether it decides the fate of the script writers. Because sometimes what happens, script अच्छी नहीं होती है फिर भी फिल्म चलती है. Sometimes script अच्छी होती है फिर भी फिल्म नहीं चलती. So what is your say on that?
See, I think the box office thing is it has completely gone out of hands. Okay, so he's also here. His master class is tomorrow. Rajesh, and you would also, yeah, his class is tomorrow. So all the people in the film industry, we hate it. Okay, films getting promoted on the basis of box office, it's completely wrong. When we grew up, about 10 years back, Nobody used to talk about box office. Okay, there was only one parameter. Either the film is good or the film is bad. उसके बाद आता था कि ये सिल्वर जुबली हो गई, ये गोल्डन जुबली हो गई, दिस रैन फॉर 25 वीक्स. अब उतना तो टाइम पिछले 20-25 सालों में कभी किसी फिल्म को मिला नहीं. ओके, शायद मतलब बाय चांस मिल जाता है, बट मोस्टली नहीं मिलता. ओके, सो दैट आल्सो इज आउट ऑफ द विंडो. सो द ओनली पैरामीटर दैट शुड बी देयर on which the film is judged has to be either the film is good or bad. And are people talking about it or not? Okay, now what has happened is, okay, I think it started with Gajni when they first time, publicized that film did 100 crores. Then then other people, when they also crossed that mark, they also started advertising that we crossed 100 crores. Then some film crossed 200 crores. Then they started double marketing that we crossed 200. So, I mean, likewise, the whole rat race started. And nowadays, there are like 25 Twitter handles constantly tweeting hourly data, this much booking, this much box office predicted for tomorrow. No, this is like 6th highest crossing Monday for a Hindi film which is starring Kartik Aaryan. तो 7 फिल्टर के साथ न्यूज रिपोर्ट आपका आता है, बट इट इज सेंटर्ड अराउंड बॉक्स ऑफिस. ओके, सो मोस्ट ऑफ द फिल्म मेकर्स एंड पीपल इन द फिल्म इंडस्ट्री दे हेट इट बिकॉज इट्स अ रॉन्ग पैरामीटर टू जज अ फिल्म ऑन. Okay.
Talking about the perspective of the scriptwriter.
Yeah, so I'm coming to that. Now, a good film not necessarily will be a commercially successful. Okay, Stree 2 has made maximum amount of money in a Hindi film. In Hindi films till date. Now, is it the best film ever made? No. Right? Is it the best film that I have written? No. Okay, I have written better scripts. They are not as successful. Okay, so box office is not a parameter for a good script. Okay, but this is the world that we live in. Box office is your ROI, return on investment for the producer. Now the producer is putting in X amount of money. He thinks that at least I should receive X or X plus whatever by. Okay, now you can guarantee as much as you want. Okay, this film will do 100 crores or this film will do 500 crores. This film will be the highest grossing film ever. This, that, it never works. Okay, it never works because like in stock markets, in film industry also, there are external parameters. Like we say, macro factors. Now your micro factors are your script, okay, your performances, how the film is made, and what kind of a film you have. That is in your command. Now macro factors are beyond your command. Okay, your film releases. Now there are many friends of mine. Farhan Akhtar released Rock On 2, which was the most anticipated film at that time. It released, and next day, Notebandi. Okay, 500 and 1,000 notes are banned, and people are queuing up to get petty cash. Okay, films collection lifetime 2 crores. Okay, Oi Lucky Lucky Oi released Bombay, terrorist attacks. Film flop. Okay, your film releases and some other film which released a week before is doing so well, your film is not getting screens. Your film will bomb. Okay.
But basically because it's a theater owners are not really about films.
Correct.
They are in the real estate business.
Correct. Theater owners are in real estate business.
So then what happens is, I'm sorry, this
Yeah, please.
but I've been a few months. So what happens is that it's a function of marketing. It's a function of they are interested in knowing. For example, just to give an example, I have some friends who run theaters. They're like general managers. Telling that if I tell them I'm writing a script with somebody, and they say, "इसमें क्या गाली गलौज है?" हाँ, प्रॉब्लम है. इसमें कितना अंग्रेजी है ज़्यादा? हाँ, प्रॉब्लम
problem. So I'm asking them why. They tell me if there is a expletives, it automatically goes into an adult tag. I don't have kids. I'm going to take back to the kids. Yeah, हमारा समोसा कौन खाए? हमारा Coca-Cola कौन पिए? So now that's a bit different space. So now that answers the question of you will not get screens. So let's say there are 8 auditoriums inside a theater, correct? You might not get 7 of them because 7 of them will go to one of the popular ones, which is actually attracting a whole lot of these things. So there are many factors to this, which I am like also slowly discovering as I'm going along. Sorry.
Yeah, so you heard it from the filmmaker himself. So yeah, there are a lot of macro factors which are not in your hand, and for them, because of them the film might bomb. So box office success is never a parameter for how good or bad that film is, but you need to take it with a pinch of salt. You need to accept that this is this is a truth which you can't avoid. Okay, but you also need to make sure that you don't get affected by it. Okay, if you write a good film and it releases, and if it doesn't do well, box office wise, you don't blame yourself for writing a bad film. Okay, just because it didn't work on box office. You need to have that perspective and also the creative ego. Like I kept on saying before answering his question, and have that creative ego, no? At the end of the day, like painter or a sculptor, you are an artist. You created a piece of art. Okay. Now someone will like it, someone will not like it. Did you make it to make it the highest grossing film ever? No. You made it because you enjoy it. Okay. You make your art. Why? Any artist, a poet, why does he write a poem? To sell it at $1 million? No. Because it gives him pleasure, right? So you are an artist, you have created a piece of art. And if you are honest with yourself, okay, you judge it accordingly. That I was honest, I've written a good film. Now it made X amount of money. It was expected to make like X into 3 or whatever. Okay, I'll not be discouraged by it. I'll keep at it, okay, and I'll keep on making art. Okay, that's the only way it works. I always give this example of, say, you need to think of yourself like a ustad. Okay, think of yourself like, say, you are Ustad Zakir Hussain. Okay, if today you play tabla and there are 25 people listening, 3 of them just stand up and go out. Tomorrow you are playing tabla and 50,000 people are listening. What will you do next day? In both the cases, next day you will wake up and you will do riyaz. Right? Next day you will wake up and you will play tabla because that's what you do. Okay, if you are a writer, that's what you do. Films work, films don't work. Box office come, box office doesn't come. Okay, like I said myself, right? Why so many films didn't get made? So many in Bombay there is a hierarchy. Okay, first you write a film where you don't get paid, it doesn't get made, and you don't get anything. Then you write a film where you get paid, but it doesn't get made. Then you write a film where you get paid and it also gets made, but it doesn't get a release. Then you write a film where you also get paid, film also gets made, and it releases and it bombs. Okay, and then will come a phase when everything else happens and the film also works. But then it will be banned by critics. And then finally, one day, one golden day will come and all of this will happen. Okay, but then you have seen all the previous steps, right? And you know that you are always the same person. जो फिल्म में तुमको पैसे भी नहीं मिले थे, बनने की बात तो बहुत बाद में थी, पैसे भी नहीं मिले थे, वो स्क्रिप्ट भी इतनी ही अच्छी थी जो ये बॉक्स ऑफिस ब्लॉकबस्टर में आपको लग रहा है. Correct? So I mean, it works like this. You never get discouraged by box office films.
हेलो। हाँ सर, मेरा नाम आदित्य है। सर, मैं ये पूछना चाहता हूँ कि जैसे कि एक दौर था जबकि हिंदी सिनेमा में अच्छी अच्छी फिल्में बना करती थी, और फिर एक ऐसा दौर आया जबकि कुछ भी बनने लगी। और हम अगर सीरियल की बात करें तो उसमें भी हम वो जो चल रहा है वो अभी तक से चल रहा है। मैं किसी का नाम नहीं लेना चाहूँगा। और
ले
नहीं, कोई बात नहीं वैसे तो अ, और कहीं न कहीं मुझे लगता है ना कि ये कहीं न कहीं, मतलब मैं राइटर्स को कुछ नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, लेकिन कहीं न कहीं राइटर्स ने ही ऑडियंस का माइंड स्पॉइल किया है। कहीं न कहीं जितना भी करप्शन जो भी ऑडियंस के दिमाग में है, कहीं न कहीं राइटर्स ने ही दिया है। और आज भी अगर हम, जैसे कि आपने बोला कि अ, एक जो आर्ट सिनेमा हो गया या हम बोले कमर्शियल सिनेमा है, इसके बीच में जो डिफरेंसेस आए हैं, ये कहीं न कहीं जो करप्शन है ऑडियंस के दिमाग में, उसकी वजह से ही आया है। तो आपको क्या लगता है?
नहीं, सही बात। नहीं, करप्शन, देखो प्रॉब्लम क्या है कि see we need to accept that we are living in a third world country. ओके, और जो सबसे फेमस कहावत है कि राइटर को भी पेट होता है, करेक्ट? सही है। उसके भी घर में बिजली आती है, उसके भी बिल्स होते हैं, उसको भी पे करना है। तो इसलिए उसको, लाइक आई टोल्ड यू, आई स्टार्टेड by writing absolute shit. Okay, and for years and years I've written absolute shit. Okay, just to stay afloat, just to survive. And you need to have a perspective that even while doing this, okay, you are finding that something, okay, that pleases you as an artist, okay, that keeps you afloat. You are not always supposed to make a Citizen Kane or a Godfather or whichever film you think is great, okay, because you won't be able to stay afloat. Okay, you need certain things in life. Money is the most important part of it, okay, and that's why so much shitty content is made, क्योंकि वो सारा जो कंटेंट है वो ऐसे राइटर्स ने लिखा है जिनको फोर्स किया गया है वो लिखने की। वो उनका नेचुरल एक्सप्रेशन नहीं था, ओके, वो उनका नेचुरल एक्सप्रेशन नहीं था, पर उनको लिखना पड़ा क्योंकि उनको पैसे चाहिए। उन्होंने उसमें से खुद के अंदर के आर्टिस्ट को तो खुश कर लिया, लेकिन लोग करप्ट हो गए, लोगों को और गंदे कंटेंट की आदत हो गई, और कंटेंट का बाहर जो है और नीचे होता है। That's the reality of our country, okay, and we can't escape it, okay, like you said, okay, I used to feel the same way when I started, thinking about changing the career, okay. I used to feel the same way. Here they are making shitty TV shows, they are making shitty films, everything is crap, सब लोग खराब काम कर रहे हैं, एटलीस्ट आई वुड बी एबल टू डू समथिंग गुड, करेक्ट? बट वंस यू गेट इनटू द मड, एज दे से, एंड गेट योर हैंड्स डर्टी, you realize that you also end up doing the same. But then you keep at it, you survive the whole mud phase, you come out of it, you wash yourself, and you create something that's good. That's how it will be done in our country always. There are a few people who are very bright and who will directly do something really great. But you haven't seen their struggle. You haven't seen how much they have slogged in their personal lives and how much they have slogged to get that money. Okay, you have never seen how a Chaitanya Tamane or a Payal Kapadia ended up making their films. Okay, so there are people like that, okay, and they are following their own path, but you haven't seen that struggles, okay. Nobody knows the name of Payal Kapadia's previous film. Everyone knows, or we imagine as like. Correct. So, I mean, a lot of things like that happen. It's a very, delicate issue in our ecosystem of filmmaking. That whenever young filmmakers enter, they want to change things, okay, and they are constantly feeling that whatever is getting made is bad, It's mediocre, which it is, correct. But the thing is that you need certain amount of power to change it yourself, or at least for yourself, that मैं तो जो बनाऊं अच्छा बनाऊं, ठीक है, और उसके लिए भी जो पावर चाहिए वो भी तुम्हारे पास 5 या 7 साल काम किए बिना नहीं आता है. Okay, and that's why you need to keep at it. So yeah, I mean, that's about it.
Do you think this will change if writers decide to become producers?
Yeah, hopefully it should
It's a very
change.
honest question.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, previously it has been tried in Phantom, and we have seen what a colossal disaster it was. But yeah, I mean, they were not writers, they were writer-directors. But yeah, I think things will change with writers getting more power, getting more, influence in terms of, making films. But it is not a short solution, because like someone asked, what do you think about writers turning director? There is a very beautiful quote by Dibakar in that Angry Young Men series. Angry Young Men is a series about Salim Javed on Prime. Okay, so Dibakar Banerjee says that we have lost a lot of good writers because they always felt powerless and tried to turn directors. And when they turned directors, they were mediocre directors. So a lot of good writers became mediocre directors, and that's how industry lost a lot of good writers. Okay, because they decided that there is not enough power with me, so let me become a director. Okay, that's a wrong motivation, and at the same time, it doesn't always work. In most cases, it doesn't work in India. So yeah, I mean, that's what it is.
Thank you for all the guidance that you have given. Yeah, it's a prelude of question. I would request you to guide our amateur filmmakers. Something specially for, not for people who have already made something, who are about to make, and who are new filmmakers who want to make their career in filmmaking. Some special guidance for them.
What do you want to
Same question.
Same thing. See, you need to understand that filmmaking is a very costly business. Okay, it takes a huge amount of, I mean, I'm talking about commercial filmmaking. Okay, even normal, I mean, independent films require a lot of money. Okay, so it is not like painting or poetry or writing short stories, or writing a novel. All those things will cost really less. Okay, but filmmaking is very costly. Okay, so whenever you think of yourself as a filmmaker, okay, you need to have some claim for that. Okay, now apart from making commercial films, everything else is very cheap. Okay, YouTube, you can upload things for free. Okay, you can shoot with your camera for free. Okay, you can write for free. So try to make something which is, try to make your Doodlebug. In case you don't know what is Doodlebug, Doodlebug is a short film made by Christopher Nolan. Okay, uske upar se usko first film mili, then he makes films like say Memento. How much does it cost? Following, how much does it cost? Really cheap. Okay, really cheap filmmaking, but it shows his talent. Okay, it shows the flair that he has. Okay, because cinema, okay, is a window to the world that nobody else has. It's such a powerful medium. And when you write, it can create anything, no? Think about it. That you can create something that nobody has ever thought before. You have camera angles, you can look at things, you can break time, you can go ahead of time, you can go behind time. Okay, you are watching a person from here, suddenly you can have extreme close-up, or you can look at him from behind. Okay, you have all those things. You can break space and time, and you can tell any story you want. Okay, provided you imagine it right in given resources, but the idea doesn't cost, right? So if you will be able to show that in whatever you do before, I mean, you can do a play, you can write a short story, you can make a short film, zero budget short film on your phone. Okay, you can hire a camera and have some friends act for you. Okay, I mean, all these people, you see their short films, you see Chaitanya Tamane's short film that he has shot in Darjeeling. Okay, you see Anand Gandhi's one short short film of 7 minutes, single shot. Okay, I mean, those things show the sparks in the filmmaker, and they are zero budget things. Okay, so you need to do something that shows the spark, okay, in order to convince someone to put in money. Okay, once you pull off that, you will obviously be getting money to make your films, and you will open a lot of doors for yourself. लेकिन ये सोच के कि मेरे पास रिसोर्सेज नहीं है, कि मेरे पास प्रोड्यूसर नहीं है, या मैं अप्रोच कर रहा हूँ कोई मुझे जवाब नहीं दे रहा है, you just sit in a corner and do nothing, that would be doing injustice to yourself. Okay, so whatever you have, try to do something with those resources to show your spark, to show your talent, to show your expression, your honest expression. Okay, and dazzle the other person. Whoever is watching you, dazzle them with your craft, with your idea. Once you'll be able to do that, anyone would put in money. Because everyone is looking for someone who shows that spark. Like he said, 90% of the content is bad. तो अगर आपका अच्छा होगा तो everyone will notice. Everyone will end up noticing कि अरे यार ये कुछ कमाल का है यार, ये मस्त है. Okay, so just think about it in that way. Okay, don't always think about it from the point of view of pitching and producer replying and stuff like that. Because nowadays the whole film festival is going on. You see the kind of films people are making, right? You don't require 100 crores or 200 crores for that. कितना पैसा लगता है यार अच्छा idea execute. So you make sure you do that, and then the doors will open.
Anybody else? Okay, so I think we've come to the end of this class. I wouldn't say master class. It's a master class. A big round of applause. Because most of our people who have attended are trying to make films, trying to make a mark in filmmaking, and especially our Goan filmmakers. Since Goa is a very small place, very less number of people watching Konkani films. And to begin with, everybody starts with Konkani film. Because directly to start with a Hindi film or some other film is a little bit difficult. But then you rightly guided us, and a big thank you, sir. Thank you from all of us for specially coming to Goa and giving us such a beautiful lecture. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Tomorrow, again at 5 o'clock, same place.